Hey there, it's Lucas Catton. And this morning I was thinking about something as I saw some messages flying around and that kind of thing. A lot of finger pointing, a lot of blaming, a lot of conclusions and misstatements and misunderstandings. And really that, what I was thinking is that the grass is brown over there too. It's not comfortable for anyone at the moment. And to think that someone else has it better, honestly, I think is mistaken. And I know that our natural tendency is to focus on obviously ourselves and our own conditions and how difficult they may be. But there's always someone else who has it more difficult than we do right now, always. And there are plenty of instances that for them seem just as difficult as it might for us. For example, having kids out of school. Is it more difficult to have older kids, or is it more difficult to have younger kids, or is it more difficult to have no kids at all? Maybe they wish they had kids and couldn't. Maybe their kids are grown and out of the house and they're afraid because they're having to deal with this on their own without the family nearby. Maybe there's some other illness going on, or injury, or difficulty, or separation, or whatever. It is not an easy time for anyone right now. And so the best that we can do is to have compassion for one another and to know that we all are trying our best and doing our best to make it through this thing that is at the very least uncertain, at the very worst, very scary and life-threatening. And I know that it's quick and easy for a lot of people to dismiss this, especially online when it's not happening in their own backyard, or if they're not personally witnessing things. But if you go on, for example, the Johns Hopkins University tracker of coronavirus right now, you'll see that the mortality rate is between 3 and 4%. And that's no joke. It's not something to laugh about. It's not something to say that people are overreacting. And it's not something where countries around the world somehow have it out for anyone else, that they're doing their best to survive this as well and to stay ahead of it and slow the spread as much as possible. And it is very, very difficult and stressful for all of us. And for that, I want to hopefully extend a hand to anyone out there who might need some conversation via email or text or chat, or to schedule time if there's some greater, longer term thing. I'm certainly willing to help schedule something and talk to you. I also need connection as well, so it goes beyond just what someone else may need, but it's also a need of my own. And I think that being able to speak about things and not just look at people who share our same view about this particular situation, or who are only in our little section of the world. I see things in very privileged areas that it's easy for them to dismiss. Somebody says, oh, well, they don't know what it's like because they don't have all these employees to watch out for in the business. And somebody else says, well, you don't know what it's like because you didn't lose your job. Or someone else may say, this isn't really affecting us because whatever, we're going to get a break on our bill this month. But what about the rest of the year? The financial implications for many of us are much greater than just the next 2 weeks or 30 days or 3 months or longer than that. There's very real repercussions that we're all having to deal with. So that takes some processing, not finger pointing, not blame. That takes some introspection of how are we going to deal with this individually and for our families and as a collective whole on being able to move forward. Because from today, or from a few days ago or a few weeks ago, whatever that time when your specific world changed dramatically. For us, this was really last week. Before schools officially closed for us, it was prior to that. And it continues to worsen for many of us. And it's not something that we take lightly, but at the same time, our resolve, not only as ourselves, as individuals, as our families, but as our greater communities, as a nation, and as a world, as a species, humankind, is much greater than that. And if we continue to hopefully focus on solutions, helping each other out, getting through this. It is temporary. Everything is temporary. Impermanence is a very real thing, and this too shall pass. It doesn't make that necessarily easy in the moment, but knowing that it is a finite period of time that this will have to be dealt with, and that we can find some relief soon. There are brighter days ahead, and we can get there. Taking one moment at a time to get through, and hopefully do the best that we can to support each other, to be positive. I shared something that I'd written the other day about being grateful, being present, and being positive. And that those three things can help build our resolve and help build our sense of equanimity in a very uncertain and shaky ground. That we can somehow find things to be grateful for. Because yes, hopefully the mortality, the loss of life is going to be less than previous pandemics. That is the goal. That is why we are all on this thing. And so, you may not have someone close to you who is susceptible, and therefore you're not worried about it. Or you may not have an initial fear about it, and that's fine and that's good. Other people do. Take a moment, find out maybe some other sources of information rather than the same sources of information or just people who agree with you. Take a moment to look and see what other information is out there to educate to educate yourself on the greater picture, and not just to focus on the problem at hand here, but to focus on what do we do going forward from here. And that is where I would like to direct my attention and encourage you to direct your attention, keeping ourselves, our family members, our communities, and the world as a whole as safe as possible. And how do we improve life from here on out? Again, if you'd like to, please contact me. I'd love to connect with you. You can go to lucascatton.com, and I'd love to hear from you. Please comment on the video. I enjoy reading and hearing and discussing different views of things. And if we can do so, intelligent discussion, being willing to look at and potentially find something that might disprove our previous beliefs. If you go into that, knowing that that's a possibility, then we can get somewhere and we can find some common ground and we can find some sense in the whole thing. Again, thank you for your time. I wish you very well, peace and positivity. And I can't wait to see many people out and about again soon, hopefully very soon, safely when it's ready. All right, thanks.